Well, you know what wasn't there? Worms.
There were no worms. Welcome to Inchworm,
The podcast in which we are inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
and I'm Ted.
And this time we read Gestation 1.1. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Great.
So, what'd you think?
I have so many thoughts about this chapter. It's a very short first chapter. It doesn't really start in media res, so we're not like in a superhero battle. Like it's pretty low key in terms of action, but I feel like it's a very rich text, and I'm really excited to dive into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll also say, my recollection of the first two chapters is like, quote unquote, not much happens. But I agree, like, close reading it, there's a lot of stuff here, and
I already have a lot of predictions.
Oh, excellent. So I'm very excited to dig into it. But for the benefit of grounding people listening at home, whether they've read it before but not for a while, or are choosing not to read Worm, can you tell me what happens in chapter 1.1?
Why, yes, I can, Ted. So we open on Taylor sitting in, I want to say history class, something like that anyway.
Yeah.
And she's dreading lunchtime. We learn that there are some girls who bully her. They're talking about capes in this history class. We don't learn anything, though, because Taylor is so focused on dreading lunch that she is not paying attention. So lunchtime arrives. She goes to the bathroom where she always eats her lunch and waits for a stall to open. And she's really anxious that I guess one of the popular girls will come in while she's waiting. But she gets a stall, and so she sits there and starts eating her lunch as she does every day. And then there are voices. People are coming into the bathroom, and it's the popular girls who bully her. And someone knocks at the stall, and she says, occupied, and they realize it's her. And then, because these are the worst people ever, they start pouring their juice over the side of the stall onto her head. And she slips on the juice and falls to her knees, and her backpack gets all soaked, and they drop the bottles on her, and then they leave. And she is so mad and frustrated, and the insects of the school answer her feelings. And there's this sort of sense of buzzing, and she has the awareness of them in her head, and they kind of come out of the walls, and they're coating the bathroom. And she is aware of her power. She knows from her practice that apparently she has done that if she wanted to, she could just sick these insects. She has very detailed control over these insects. She could sick them on the school. She could destroy everything basically. And she's I would be on the news, and what would my dad think when he saw it? But she doesn't really do it. She's tempted, but she's not. It doesn't really seem like she's going to do it. I think the way she puts it is she's better than that. She's not going to choose this path of evil revenge. So instead, she banishes the insects. She gathers her soap bag, and she just goes home because she's coated in juice and can't face seeing these girls in class for the rest of the day. Oh, we get the button on the end of the episode is we find out that one of the girls, I think it's Emma, used to be her best friend.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. I was not expecting that twist. It was great.
It's, yeah, wild. Great summary. Thank you. Thanks for filling me in. It's I just read it myself.
I just read it 10 minutes ago, so...
I'll add one more thing that she throws in the last paragraph or two, which is part of what she is holding on to is she calls it a crazy dream of being a superhero.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, what she's working towards.
I'm really intrigued by the terminology. We hear about superheroes, we hear about heroes, we hear about capes. Are these synonyms, or is there going to be some sort of fine gradation of meaning? Is being a superhero something you have to attain, but anyone with power is a cape? I'm really intrigued. I think we'll find out.
Yeah, so I'm curious. This is maybe getting into more speculation than analysis, but what do you make of the fact that she's she clearly has a power. Mm-hmm. She has a superpower.
Oh, yeah.
She seems to think that being a superhero is a bit of a long shot or pipe dream or something,
I wonder if, that's kind of why I was wondering, if superhero is something that you have to work to attain, like maybe something that gets bestowed upon you, some sort of elite society that you have to be led into, or like a title you have to earn. I wonder, and I'm guessing partly because I know there are a lot of characters in this, I wonder if having a power is actually relatively common, and maybe most people can't do things that are that useful with their powers, or... So I do wonder, is it like, if there is some sort of group you have to belong to be a superhero, is it a group formed by supers themselves? Is it a government thing? Yeah, what is is there regulation of this? Or is it just sort of a, like, I want to be a pop star? Like, no one, like, stamps you with pop star. It's just kind of like, yeah, you now get to tour and have an album, It's a little bit more unofficial. It's kind of, it when you see it.
And like you said, we don't get a lot of exposition in this chapter, which was something that I really liked.
Such a good tease. The first 2 lines, I feel like, are really effective. Let me pull them up here. Okay, so I'm just going to read the first 2 lines. Class ended in 5 minutes, and all I could think was, an hour is too long for lunch. Since the start of the semester, I had been looking forward to the part of Mr. Gladley's World Issues class where we'd start discussing capes. There's so much there. First of all, we get the sort of, okay, we're immediately in a school setting, very grounding. All I could think was, an hour is too long for lunch. On the one hand, a surprising sentiment, because who would rather be in class than at lunch? It's a little bit counterintuitive, it's intriguing, it's inviting us to follow along and figure out what's going on with her, to have this surprising sentiment. It's also a little bit, like, there's something familiar about it, like, the idea of a kid who's like, oh, I don't have anyone to sit with at lunch, that's also somewhat familiar. So we can kind of guess a little bit, like, okay, maybe there's something going on socially for her.
Yeah.
So it's intriguing, but also stabilizing, because it's a familiar world. And then in the next sentence, we get this mention of capes. We learn that she has been looking forward to learning about this or discussing this all year. So this is something that's really important to her, or that she's really interested in, which makes us really interested in it. But then because she's not paying attention, we don't actually get to find out anything.
Right. She presumably knows a lot already, but we don't actually know what the subject is.
It's just this little breadcrumb. Yeah. We don't even know what a cape is. Obviously, I know what a cape is because I know something about the premise of this story. But... Right.
Well, did you catch what the biography in her backpack is about?
Oh, I did. I made a note. So when she's sitting in the bathroom eating her lunch, she only has like one book with her that she hasn't read, I guess. And it's called Triumvirate, or it's about the Triumvirate. And it's a biography of the leading 3 members of the Protectorate.
Yeah.
So that's some lore.
Right, that's some cape lore, but that's basically the only cape lore that we get. And to your point, like, is the Protectorate, is it a super team? Is it a part of the government? It could be anything.
I think in this kind of setting where you're trying to world build and introduce a character at the same time, it's so important to intrigue the reader and also not overwhelm them. And I think this is doing a really good job, because we're very grounded in this high school setting that's so familiar from fiction, even if you didn't go to that kind of school. And she is so interested in this. So this is like a topic she's interested in learning about. Like, we're kind of seeing it through her eyes, and we're looking forward to learning more about her feelings about it. Like, we're not getting info dumped on. Like,
right.
Yeah, there's enough to be intriguing, but not overwhelming.
Right. And what you get as the turn, and I think the best moment of the chapter, is when you finally get, there are a few little breadcrumbs leading up to it, but you finally get the reveal of what her powers are, where you something is going on with her perception. But then when the bullies leave and she snaps, it's like she's at the bathroom sink. She says to herself, fuck this, what the hell am I supposed to do? And then she describes it as like giving in. She closes her eyes, and when she opens them, the bathroom is covered in bugs. And so despite the fact that it's been so grounded with just a few tidbits, you get this incredible, supernatural thing that really says, yes, this is a story about somebody who can do something totally crazy off the wall. And like, this is a person with superpowers doing something totally different, despite the fact that so far it's been a very familiar school setting.
Yeah, and I think the character of Taylor is such a like solid combination of kind of really good, a good satisfying combination in the superhero world is that like she's an underdog and she has a power. Like that's so satisfying. Everyone loves an underdog. Everyone loves powerful people. When that can be united in one person, that's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that, that's why, like, origin stories are so good for superheroes. That's why superhero comics keep resetting, because they want to do the origin story. That's why sometimes, you get in trouble in narratives when the heroes get too powerful and, it's hard to relate to them. And, yeah, she's bullied and friendless. It's not just these three girls. Everyone else in the class kind of allies with them because they're cool and popular. She's having this humiliating attack on her, but we also learn she has this power, and she's not choosing to use it to get revenge in sort of an evil way. So she's also sympathetic because we want revenge for her. Right. She's been wrong, but she's holding back. Oh, she's better than we are. Like,
it's so interesting because you were saying traditionally you get sort of the origin story and that's so fun. And where we meet Taylor, she already has her power, but it hasn't solved her problem, right?
That's a great point.
And part of it's because the only way she can think to solve the problem would be something that she doesn't believe she's the kind of person who would do that, right? Like that's kind of what she says. It's like, and I'm really curious to hear what your first impressions of Taylor is as a person from this chapter, because it is so clear that she is angry and humiliated and feels hopeless. Like when the bullies are laughing at her, she's like, basically, I chose not to say anything because I knew if I said anything in my defense, they would just throw it back in my face.
Yeah.
So she is kind of this like learned helplessness, despite the fact that she can control bugs and do all this stuff. It's just like, of course she doesn't. I think she says, I could go carry on the whole school.
Yes, I love that.
I won't. Which that's a pretty dark thing to want.
I love the way you put that the only thing she can think to do with her powers is go carry on the whole school, like kind of burn everything down. Yeah, pointing out that it's not that she couldn't use her powers to do anything else, but she is not yet being creative and strategic about them. She kind of only sees them as this extreme blunt force weapon. And she doesn't seem to be, like, strategic in general. Like, yeah, kind of her only strategy is, like, hanging back, hiding in the bathroom, not saying anything.
Right.
She's not trying to win anything. She, like you said, she feels defeated before she even tries.
Right.
I do want to say that what you said about she has powers and they haven't solved her problems, I bet that's going to be a huge theme, motif, whatever, in the story where people are going to be incredibly powerful and it's going to make as many problems for them as it solves, I bet. And I suspect that what is going to really enable them to solve problems isn't so much their raw power as how creative and resourceful they are at using it, and how well they can read other people and strategize how to actually get what they want out of them. Not necessarily in a manipulative way, just, Taylor wants friends. She doesn't know how to do that. Yeah, I think the soft skills are going to be really important in this book.
Well, speaking of soft skills, what do you make of Taylor, her personality, what kind of kid she is?
Okay, that's interesting because I feel like I've already said some things about that, and I wonder what you're trying to get at. Like, what else do we know? I mean, she flew off the handle she was really pushed to it. Like, her last refuge at school was stripped away from her. Like, she doesn't even have the bathroom anymore. Like, what is she going to do at lunch? She swears, she throws her bag, she lets loose control for a minute, which is a really interesting, like, I didn't pick up on that until you said that. Like, she has to control herself all the time to keep bugs from answering her emotions. So she does seem to be someone who's very rigidly controlled, but she has no control over the outside world.
Right.
I mean, the bugs, but she has no control over other people in the situation she's in. She is not seizing that control at all.
Yeah, and that's connected to something else that I wanted to bring up, which is, I think there's a really strong thematic connection between when she's in the classroom and when she listens to her bugs. When the classroom bell goes off, there's this paragraph that describes like the cacophony of like kids getting up and they're talking to the teacher and the teacher's talking to them and the chairs are scraping, and it's like all of this noisy overwhelm that Taylor cannot control. And yet when she is using her power, she senses it as like all of these bugs are around her, that she can kind of feel them instinctively. But she goes out of her way to say, but I can control an individual antenna on a single ant, right? So there is all of this overwhelm. Her power presents itself as an overwhelm, but one where she can control everything, which is so unlike the classroom she found herself in earlier.
And I bet that makes it even harder for her to succeed at school, because having that level of control in one sphere of her life probably highlights for her, like, I don't have that level of control here. And that probably is part of what makes her give up before she can start. Like, there's so many things she could do to affect this situation. I'm not saying that, like, it's her fault that she's getting bullied, but, like, you know, she could try things to prevent it, and she doesn't seem to be really trying anything. And I suspect that she is so daunted by her lack of control in comparison to, like, she thinks, I'm good at one thing. I don't know how to use that one thing for this. Right. Therefore, you know, my other skills and abilities as a human are useless.
Right.
Because she sees this power as the only thing she could bring to bear on the situation, and she doesn't know how.
Right. It sort of redefined her.
Yeah. It stripped away her other abilities by being so powerful.
Yeah. No, I really like that. So I'll highlight a few things that stood out to me that I feel like are Taylor showing her personality.
Nice.
So there's the bit where she talks about her teacher and how her teacher kind of like is a people person who wants to be liked.
Uh-huh.
And then you can tell me what you think about her opinions of Mr. Gladly, but she says, like, I bet he thinks that he's everybody's favorite teacher. And then she says, I wondered how he'd react if he heard my opinion on the subject. Would it shatter his self-image, or would he shrug it off as an anomaly from the gloomy girl that never spoke up in class?
Yeah, she's very jaded about it, but she's a little smug, and she's not trying in any of these spheres, so she can believe herself a little bit superior.
Yeah. I think it's exactly, she's a little smug, a little superior, but she's so insecure that he wouldn't even care, right? It's like she wants to make a cutting remark to him and, like, have him be like, what? Taylor doesn't like me? But she's worried that instead he'll be like, who cares what Taylor thinks? When she talks about Madison, she judges her for wearing a skirt this early in the spring, which is very funny and very judgy.
Didn't she also have, like, a strapless top? I mean, that's...
Yeah. When she talks about her biography, she says that biographies are especially not her thing. When she's suspicious, it's all made up.
I didn't pick up on that. She's, really... I don't know if paranoid is the right word, but, like...
She has a healthy teenage skepticism and maybe distrust of authority.
I feel like that's, a lot of teenagers haven't gotten there yet. She's gotten there.
Yeah.
But I bet that foreshadows, like, the fame and the shiny stories about the greats among the superheroes. I bet they're going to be based on a lot of propaganda.
Yeah. So you think Taylor's right not to trust the system?
Oh, I think she's absolutely right. Wouldn't it be weird if this book had a system that were trustworthy and she just, like, doubted it for no reason? It is interesting that she's already there. Like, she already doubts the system.
Yeah. But that just feels like, that to me, that's her, like, type of teen. So we get a little bit of the timeline. She's a little over halfway through 10th grade, and she said the bullying started at the beginning of her freshman year. Mm-hmm. So she's probably a very different kid than she was a year and a half ago.
Yeah. It's a long time to be bullied.
But yeah, she definitely seems like that kid who's smart and quiet and judgy and a loner. Mm-hmm. A little bit of a bully magnet, but the kind of kid who also might throw a punch back.
Okay, so predictions. We're presented with, Mr. Gladly is this teacher, what a name, who, like, hangs out with the popular kids after class, like, stays up, talks to them after class. And Taylor's a little bit, disdainful. We're going to see this play out in the superhero world. Like, right now, she thinks, I don't fit in this world. I don't have anything to offer. This world is actually a little bit beneath me, honestly, I don't know that she would say that, but I think that attitude is there. But I think when she tries to enter the world of superheroes, she will find there are popular kids who don't like her. And the authorities like the popular kids. They don't like her. Even in this world where she thought, like, oh, this is where I'll shine. she's going to struggle to fit in. I think she's going to...
The Cape world just kind of mirrors
Yes, I
the
think
rest of
that
society.
I think it's the first scene with the teacher and the girls is a microcosm.
Right.
And I bet she's going to get sabotaged by some of those super quote-unquote heroes.
Yeah.
Who don't think that she is the right kind of Cape to be part of their circles.
Yeah, absolutely. Question for you. A lot of people say the beginning of Worm feels very YA. Did that occur to you reading this chapter? There's a little bit of like classroom setting. She looks at herself in a mirror. Like, there are a couple of things that are hitting those beats.
I mean, just the fact of having a 15-year-old protagonist is like...
Puts
is very
it firmly
YA.
in that.
And there's nothing tonally that would put it out of YA for me.
Right.
Yeah, certainly like the high school setting, getting bullied, like high school stuff as a parallel for sort of supernatural world stuff and vice versa is like a classic of YA. Like, yeah, this does feel YA to me. Yeah.
Yeah. That struck me too. And it's one thing that is interesting is there's so little... Well, there are no superheroics at all, right? She does use her power once, but it's more of like an emotional character.
She doesn't do anything
beat.
with it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think foreshadows why the later superheroics are so compelling is how in the moment this chapter is. Like, we're really with Taylor moment to moment in the classroom, waiting with her for that bell to ring. And when she is being bullied, you get over a couple of pages like a real play-by-play, and the way Taylor immediately reacts, like, oh shoot, they're going to pour something on me, and she looks up, she rushes to the door to try and push her way out. She makes a sudden decision that I'm going to try and flee, but Emma's blocking the door from the other side. You get kind of this like really play-by-play of how that all works from her perspective. It's not supernatural at all, but I really like how close we are to Taylor and what she's thinking moment to moment as she's just moving through the scene. Even though the action is she's in a bathroom stall, she walks to the mirror, she leaves the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
It's super compelling moment to moment.
It wasn't like, it was very easy to follow what was going on. And I think that's also a hallmark of, you know, recent last couple decades YA. Like, I feel like that was something that the Hunger Games excelled at, was like putting you in the moment and really letting you feel everything that's happening. And this is also, you know, first person, very much in Taylor's head. Like, we're really traveling along with her. Yeah, this is past tense, not present tense. More of a traditional choice than sort of recent YA choice.
What about first impressions of Taylor's power? One thing that gets highlighted right away, right? She says she can control bugs, and then she lists a bunch of them, including centipedes and spiders, along with bees and ants and flies. So definitely not just insects or a biological classification, but sort of a broader group than that.
I mean, I knew that this was her power. It really, like, hearing this description of the bugs in the bathroom, it is a really massive quantity to exist inside a building.
Right.
And really highlighted, like, okay, the scale of her power, like, there are so many bugs in the world.
Right.
She can control all of them. They're everywhere, and she's aware of them also. Like, she can kind of draw them to her. It's aware of the bug presences in the world around her. Be interesting to know how far her range is.
Right.
And whether that can grow over the course of the story, like with practice. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I feel like there are potentially a lot of different uses for this. Like, bugs are really small, but there are so many of them. And, you know, they're strong for their size, famously, the whole ant strength thing.
Right.
I feel like if I were her, I would definitely be tempted at least to use this power, not to go carry on the school, but to creep these girls out. Like, not even necessarily them finding bugs in their clothes and stuff, because that would be more easily traced back to her if her power ever becomes known. But, you know, the piece of paper that they're trying to write on keeps moving. They're like...
Yeah, so, like, use the bugs to, like, play pranks.
Yeah, or, like, their ankles keep itching, but, like, when they go to smack, like, you know, see what's going on, the bugs are gone. Right. Yeah, I would mess with them.
Yeah, so you're saying Taylor's better than that, and that includes you.
Taylor's better than I am, clearly.
Yeah.
But also, she hasn't thought of anything besides, like, going full carry on the school, so I feel like...
Right, that might just say more about where she's at emotionally.
Yeah,
right.
That's probably true.
I love the initial description of the power, and I think I just want to read the paragraph where we kind of get it for the first time. So she's talked about this buzzing at the edge of her consciousness, the sensation, and then finally she decides that she's going to give in to the power a little bit. I shut my eyes and felt the buzzing crystallize into concrete information. As numerous as stars in the night sky, tiny knots of intricate data filled the area around me. I could focus on each one in turn, pick out details. The clusters of data had been reflexively drifting towards me since I was first splashed in the face. They responded to my subconscious thoughts and emotions, as much of a reflection of my frustration, my anger, my hatred for those 3 girls as my pounding heart and trembling hands were. I could make them stop or direct them to move almost without thinking about it, the same way I could raise an arm or twitch a finger.
Yeah, they're almost part of her body.
Yeah, well, the point I was going to make is she can control bugs. My instinct for that kind of power would be it's more like communication, but it's described so much more as proprioception. It's like she's gained every bug within her range is a new phantom limb, right? And she has this, it's like weird in the same way it would be if suddenly you had a
Your
new
body
arm
were huge,
and it was over there on the other side of the room, but you would be able to use it immediately, instinctively, just as if, it was the same arm you'd had your whole life.
And she can control them, but only insofar as she can control herself. She can
So
control
true.
them the way she controls her own body, and she is not necessarily always fully in control of that.
So true.
The way that they answer her emotions and subconscious is really cool and also potentially dangerous and threatening. Like, she has to keep herself in check because she has this vast army of insects, like, ready to answer any ungoverned impulses.
Yes. One of the details that I loved, we haven't really talked about how awful these bullies are.
They suck. I assume, I assume they will eventually have something bad happen to them. I was kind of assuming they wouldn't be a big part of the story, but who knows?
But yeah, so when she lets loose, even before the bugs show up, she throws her backpack against the wall, and then later she thinks about how when she's going to skip school, she's like, well, I'm supposed to turn in my art project, but I'm pretty sure I just destroyed it when I threw my bag against the wall.
Horrifying to me.
It's such a good detail, and I think it's also indicative of what you were just saying, that, like, what happened to her was bad, but then she made it worse.
She made it worse.
Right,
Ooh,
when she sort of gave in to her
point.
emotions a little bit. And it's such a nice detail. You could imagine it feeling a lot like, obviously we're on Taylor's side. These bullies are awful. But the fact that there's that little bit where, like, Taylor makes it worse keeps it feeling like 3-dimensional and realistic, and not just like, oh my God, Taylor's perfect.
She's not just like a sad sad puppy. I was really intrigued. She was like, yeah, I could just, like, destroy everyone in the school. And she said that she would get arrested. And then the sentence after, she was like, I would get arrested for that. She said, like, there are 3 teams of superheroes in this city and lots of solo heroes. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, first of all, this is not a world where superpowers are unknown, which we already knew. This is a world with justice against superheroes. Makes sense if superheroes are known. Or justice against capes, I guess. And also, it seemed to be implying that justice would be meted out by other capes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the structure is there, but that was, it was a little breadcrumb.
It's an interesting, you again are saying, like, I wouldn't want to get in trouble. But what she says is, actually, I wouldn't mind getting in trouble. It would be worse that my father would be ashamed of me. But even that's not enough. The reason that I won't do it is because I think I'm better than that. Which I love. It fits that teenage archetype so well. I love it. It's like, I could do it. I could do something really bad, and I don't even care about the consequences. But I'm not that kind of person.
And it's funny, she's deriving that goodness from what she is not doing. Almost everything in this chapter is her not doing things. She doesn't take notes. She doesn't say anything when the bullies pour juice on her. She doesn't use the insects to attack the school. And it's a very particular view of morality that I feel like was more what I would have said when I was younger. Now I feel more of an obligation of like, okay, it's not enough to not do bad things.
Right.
You have to actively do good things in the world.
Right.
But she's in her gestation period. She's just trying not to wreak havoc on the world while she figures out how to become a superhero.
Yeah, absolutely. So this chapter was a big introduction to Taylor for the most part and her power, but we also got Mr. Gladly, we also got the bullies, you sort of like not super
we got
important
her dad,
characters
not
necessarily.
on screen or on page.
Yeah, but any impressions of the other people we met?
Oh, I mean, the bullies suck. Madison is the cute one. I don't remember which is which of the other two. One of them was sort of a lean track girl, and the other one was curvy and
Sophia's
modeled.
the track girl, and Emma's the curvy redhead.
Okay.
And Madison's the cutesy one.
Yes.
And the boys don't find her intimidating.
Yeah.
If only they knew.
Which, yeah, that's a nice parallel to Taylor that no one finds intimidating. But if only they knew. But Emma's the one that was her best friend.
Emma's the ex-best friend.
The curvy redhead.
Right.
Should we ship it?
We'll see. I mean, Emma sucks.
Emma
Taylor's
sucks.
awesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
But maybe it's long enemies to lovers.
No, Emma's not going to be that important, I think.
What about Taylor's description of herself? Can you describe Taylor for our listeners?
I remember that her only feminine feature, she says, is like her long curly hair.
Yeah, she's got long, dark, curly hair.
She said something, I think she had like a thin, stretched mouth or something that she got from her mom. Were those the adjectives? But she looks more like her dad.
Yeah.
It seems like she does not think
gangly.
Okay, yeah, she does not think that she is good looking.
She has classes.
Ah, a great thing to have.
Except when they're stained by juice.
Oh, so true. I will read a couple of lines from my notes that I haven't said. I said, Mr. Gladly is going to be trouble.
So, you agree with Taylor, not a good teacher.
I think that's probably true. I mean, it's possible he could like do a turnaround and be a sympathetic character to her, but I don't think so. I think some more of the bullying is going to come to light, and he is going to be unhelpful because he doesn't want to come down hard on the bullies and make them dislike him.
I think that's a prediction.
That's a prediction. Are we not at predictions
yet? We can do predictions.
Okay. I also said sick bugs on these girls, which she then later considered and decided not to do. So
yeah, playing pranks, you're okay with. Where's the line? What would be too much? You said you might bite them. You'd have the bugs bite them.
You're saying that like that would be a really bad thing to do or something. These girls are like making her life miserable.
Like bee stings?
I think it's more important to win a psychological victory over these girls.
Yeah.
So I don't think bee stings would be an effective strategy.
Yeah.
I do think, bee stings are risky because it's possible one of these girls is allergic to bees and you could do serious damage. I think if you knew that they were not allergic to bees, I don't think bee stings would be too much for what she just went through.
What about fully cover them with ants for like 8 hours?
That feels a little far to me in terms of torment.
I just want to know that there's a line.
Yeah, no, that seems really evil. But also, I don't think that would be effective. Again, like I think the goal would be to turn her in their eyes into someone that is not this sort of sad, pathetic bullying victim character. I think she would need to come up with a strategy to exert some power in the situation. And I think acting like a crazed supervillain who is going to torture them with ants for 8 hours, I think would just make them just like they might be afraid of her, but they would just kind of despise her more.
It wouldn't be a victory.
Yeah, she needs to do something that seems a little cool.
It wouldn't be a true victory.
Yeah. I do have a note that says, not using a locker to store any of her books. She's going to have so much back pain. I remember those backpacks in high school. You'd have like 6 heavy textbooks.
Oh
Ridiculous. I really liked that she thinks a word at the insects. I think she thinks disperse. And there's a note that like the word wasn't important. It was the sentiment behind it, the feeling behind it.
Right.
She doesn't need words to communicate with the insects. Though I suspect we'll get words because that's the best way to summarize, her thoughts.
Exactly.
Oh, I did note that she thinks of her home as a safe space. She has, like, school is miserable. She says, I didn't really feel better when she was in the bathroom. She's like, I wouldn't feel better until I was safe at home.
Yeah.
And so home is a good place for her. We haven't seen it yet, but we know that about her.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for chapter 1.1. Do you have any particular predictions about what's coming next in the short term? Or if you want to really throw darts at the wall for, long term, stuff in the story?
Okay, so I did read past this years ago when I first read the very beginning of the story. So
You know some things.
don't remember specifically. I do know a couple of things that will happen in the next few chapters, probably. I will say, I think we're going to meet at least one of the triumvirate, possibly all of them. I think they're going to be significant.
During the course of the story.
During the course of the story, not in the next few
chapter.
chapters.
Yeah.
No. We have a long way to go, I think, before we meet them. But I think they're going to come into it. I'm intrigued to find out who they are. I think she's going to have some kind of conversation soon with Emma. Why give us that piece of information that Emma was once her best friend if there's not going to be some interaction that's, not necessarily a friendly conversation, not necessarily one that makes anything better. I think things are not going to get better at school, but I think she's going to enter a world where those are the least of her problems.
Right.
And I think that will actually be helpful for her at school because right now she's so cowed by this bullying and it has such an emotional hold on her. And I think just sort of being part of larger problems will enable her to just not care as much, which will be helpful for her.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I think Mr. Gladly will suck in some way, but not be very significant, probably. Yeah. So the thing with Emma, I could see it going one of two ways. I could see it either being sort of a throwaway, she doesn't care anymore, she's moving past her childhood ex-friendships. Or I could see Emma sort of coming back in a surprising way, and like maybe it turns out that she has a power and she enters Taylor's new world and with this like kind of load of emotional complications.
And that could be fraught for Taylor if it's not a clean slate. If she has someone from, her pre-power days.
It would be tough if any of these girls turned out to have powers because the power is what she's telling herself makes her better than them, both because she has this cool thing and because she has a power but she's not using it to hurt them.
Yeah.
So I think if one of them ended up with a power, it would be particularly brutal for her. So I suspect that's what's going to happen. I don't know if it will be Emma, but I think at least one of these girls will turn out to have a power.
That makes sense. I buy it.
Okay.
Anything else before we wrap up?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, if you're reading along, it's not too late to read chapter 1. And
chapter 1 is very short.
And so then chapter 2.
Just wait to see how long we talk when they're actually long chapters.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, check it out and see you next time.
Inchworm out.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.